Hey guys, I'm JanetOnOccasion, and today we are continuing on with a ludicrous amount of patch notes that we've got going on. So, we have discussed the Greenskin rework, specific stuff. Now we're going to general bug fixes and campaign bug fixes and changes across the board. So that's the plan. So cool. General bug fixes and improvements. Quality of life changes. Rights that spawn agents, such as the Pestilence Scheme and Incantation of Petra, now spawn the agent at the faction leader rather than the capital, and can move and act on the turn they were created. That I love, because it means that this is just a general thing that I find with agents, is they're crap. Right, they just suck for doing agent stuff, unless you have them dedicated to agent stuff and have them traipsing around the map forever. You can never actually recruit someone for a purpose, and then do that purpose. I find it's so annoying, just with recruitment tied to specific buildings in specific provinces. You know, you end up recruiting units so far away from where you need them to do something that you just don't bother, right? So I always just shove agents in my armies. I occasionally pull them out of the army to do something specific, but that's so rare. I always just have them as, you know, as troops, basically. I never think, ooh, I really need to do this thing. Let's do this thing. So this is actually nice, seeing that they're doing it at least with the rights. That's really cool, because just having something like Pestilence Scheme being like, okay, I'm going to need a plague here, because these guys are being troublesome. Let's plague them up, fun time. And then it's like, oh no, I've got to wait 20 turns for the guy to get here. That's rubbish. This is brilliant. Nice change. Nice change. I want to see more of that. Alright, I want to see him go in that direction more. Anyway, healing effects now display their total healing. This is a big deal. Now you can actually tell what the hell healing things do, rather than just sort of winging it. Because, yeah, I mean, who really knows? Right? Who can tell, unless you're actually, you know, testing it in cost and battle for ages and writing down the values. It's just annoying to try and do that. So now you can go, oh, how much healing will I get with that? I'll get that much. It's brilliant. Really good to add that to the tooltip. Just say how much every healing spell and ability does. That's, you know, abilities like regeneration and all sorts. It'll just say how much healing you get per tick, which is wonderful. So the fast forward option now remembers its state between turns. So again, that's on the campaign map. You know, between turns you can click the little fast forward button so it goes through the AI turns quicker. It'll remember that now, so you don't have to click it every single time if that's your you know, chosen method. So, preset unit colours given to Lord and Hero unit variants in battle now display on the campaign map too. So, Lord and Heroes will look unique on the campaign map, which is very nice. Confederated Lords will now skip directly to the final stage of their quest chains while they reach the required level for their items. You what now? Oh, right, okay, I see. So you just get to the right level and you can do the quest battle. I like that. This should dramatically reduce the number of cases where quest chains would fail or become uncompletable due to differences in faction mechanics. Ooh, yeah, definitely. But still, that's great. That's nice, because it's nice doing quest battles for characters that you've sort of obtained. I like that. I like that a lot. Right, Mortal Empire's map updates. There's quite a few. So, much of the territory previously belonging to the Red Fangs and Karak Azul have been distributed to new factions. So these are the guys, so the Red Fangs were sort of in the north of the World's Edge Mountains, and Karak Azul in the kind of the middle, really. Before you get to desert, though, at the bottom before you start hitting desert. So yeah, has been distributed new factions. So new province, the Marshes of Madness, which is very cool. 2 new regions, Floating Village and Morgheim. Oh, does actually say here a bit. Strigo's Empire has relocated to the new Marshes of Madness province. Its former holdings of Zandri are now occupied by the Topknots. In addition, the Master Necromancer leading the faction has resolved his identity crisis and is now named Kadon. Okay, so yeah, here, this is very cool, because basically the Marshes of Madness, that used to be sort of that area of land used to be where you had the Strigony people used to live there, the Strigo's Empire. This one, but not quite. Not quite. These guys are long dead and just been sort of revived for the sake of the game and to make this area relevant, really. Although they weren't there to begin with. Anyway, they're just a thing from history. But basically it was the original sort of Strigoi vampires. They weren't quite as bestial as they once were, and they actually led a kingdom. But that kingdom got destroyed by a war, and, well, that kingdom was in the Marshes of Madness, as it is now known. And, yeah, Morgheim was their capital. I can't remember what it was called originally. I don't think it was called Morgheim. I think it had some other name. But anyway, yeah, so that was pretty cool that they've sort of given a nod to that sort of origin of that vampire line. Because it's only after they lost their empire, all the other vampires are like, get out of here. And they ended up having to just eat carrion and whatever, turned into more bestial things. That's how the Strigoi was sort of invented. Just sort of started eating corpses and got weird. You know, as happens, you know. It's just, yeah. Homelessness is a problem, guys. So, let's be better. So, Azhag has been burned to the ground by the great dragon, Graug the Terrible, and now starts the campaign abandoned. Fair enough. Carrick 8 Pigs is now a 10-slot settlement. Good, because Carrick 8 Pigs was supposed to be special, and now it is. Now it is. I guess they wanted to have 1 slot per peak before, but this makes more sense. New factions. 4 new Skaven factions have appeared in the old world. Now, this is brilliant for the sake of variety, and smaller Skaven factions I like because they don't swell up to the point where they've got, like, just the crappy Skaven armies that I hate fighting, just the, you know, the nonsense, like, just Storm Vermin and Weapon Team spam. I hate those. They're boring to fight. I'm so fed up with those armies. But smaller ones, brilliant, because it's going to be, you know, just hordes of clan rats and Skaven slaves and things, which is how I love fighting Skaven. That feels more Skaven to me, you know, than these, like, weird elite stacks. They're not really about elite stacks. They're about just, like, throwing anyone that can hold anything pointy or has teeth. Just throw them at the enemy and hope for the best. That's Skaven. So anyway, Clan Vulcan have emerged from the Warrens beneath Fire Mountain and now control parts of the Eastern Badlands. Clan Ferric have claimed parts of the Zufbar province. So, I mean, that's kind of a big deal. Zufbar always just had Zufbar and were kind of always there. But now they're in peril, which is kind of cool. Clan Spittle can be found in Festa Spike, the region of the Grey Mountains previously known as Grimhold. That's right, it's changed a bit. Clan Creepus have been dispatched by their masters, Clan Eshin, in pursuit of a certain warpstone meteorite. If you want that spoilt, I mean, you might know, you might have an inkling as to where that is already, but it's a nice nod to another IP belonging to Games Workshop in a way, and you see it pretty early on in my Azhag playthrough, and anyone playing an Azhag playthrough will find these guys pretty quickly. So, the dwarfs of Clan Helheim, exiled from their home in the Dragonback Mountains, have headed to the Plain of Bones in search of dragon hordes, much to the distaste of a certain dragon prince. So these guys are, this is basically the Dragonback Mountains, the ones in that new territory that got added, you know, on the right side of the Mortal Empires map, where Clan Eshin hang out, you know, where Snikch hangs out. Because Imrik is there too now. In the absence of its former Rotund master, the Skullcrag tribe have claimed Misty Mountain as their capital. So the Skullcrag tribe here in Misty Mountains, Grom the Paunch is the goblin of Misty Mountain. He's the, yeah. So it's without him being around, just the remaining Greenskins have it now. So there you go. New landmarks: Fortress of WAAAAAGH, the town of Bloody Tooth, which is wild. Darkhold, Graves of Dragons, and Kasabar gets the City of Bronze. And there's more to find. So this you can find very quickly in the Imrik Vortex campaign, and these two you can find very, very quickly in the Imrik Mortal Empires campaign. Actually, I think does he start here in Vortex? Anyway, these are basically in his, like, first 2 or 3 settlements that he takes in either of his campaigns. These are very much there for Imrik, who of course is free, so anyone can play him, DLC or no, which is lovely. Other new region in Northern World's Edge Mountains, Karak Raziak, and this is cool. This is in the same territory. So Kazad Urkulaz has moved to Peak Pass province. So basically, this and Karakangor used to be a province. Now this belongs to the province to the south of it, and this belongs to Karakangor's province. So this will be the first place that Azhag will take in his campaign. So, very fun. 2 new regions added to Ivres, because of course Ivres needs to be more fancy, because they have a legendary lord there now. So the Shrine of Loic and Tralinia have both been added to that region. So Orthwan is a little bit meatier on Mortal Empires now. New port region in Noblar County. Shattered Cove, sorry, Noblar Country. So Shattered Cove, so there's a port in that bit of the map that I described earlier where Clan Eshin is. They've added a new port in that sort of that most eastern of provinces. So pretty cool. So, Dragon Isles, Dread Rock, Shattered Stone Isle, and Dragon Fang Mountain are all now port settlements, which makes sense. They're disparate islands, so a lot of ports there as well. It's helped encourage trade around those regions, but none of that trade actually connects to the rest of the oceans in Mortal Empires, which makes it quite limited, but it's still good sources of income, just the port buildings themselves. So it does help those regions out for sure, because the economy around there was pretty bad. So, campaign balance changes. For High Elves, ooh, wow, this is going to take some doing. So, High Elves, Techless, now gets +5 recruit rank. That applies to Lawmasters and Archmages as well, which is very cool. Archmages being new and fancy, and I love them. Diplomatic Relations bonus now applies to Wood Elves, Lizardmen, and Dwarfs, which is handy. Now receives -25% recruitment cost for Phoenixes and Swordmasters of Haworth, very nice. Also, -25% building cost for mage-related buildings. That is a godsend, because those buildings are so expensive, and it makes total sense for Techless to be getting them built. So it's a shame. Again, encourages more sort of thematic campaigns, which I love. Techless now starts with a Lawmaster hero in both Vortex and Mortal Empires. Very cool, him starting with a Lawmaster, because it's still magic-y, of course, but he has like a nice melee unit as well in a Lawmaster that can sort of help. Techless now starts with Clan Festa in Mortal Empires campaigns, and Techless's manifold sorcery skill is no longer faction-wide. Archmages have their own flavour of cost reduction. Interesting, interesting. So, Alaria, and there's other changes here. If you own DLC, Techless can actually ride an Arcane Phoenix, which is wild, and I think he can unlock that campaign. I'm assuming so, but in custom battles he certainly can, which is wild. So, Alariel now receives a -25% cost reduction to intrigue at court actions, which makes sense, you know, it's her court, right? So, I love it. In addition to previous effects, Alariel's Power of Nature bundle now grants 1 influence per turn for each region under its effects. So, like, this is just a general thing for all of the High Elves. There's a lot of additional ways to get influence now, so it means you're not just spamming that influence nabbing ability from nobles. So it's, yeah, because that was just boring and tedious. This is way better. You can get it from a bunch of other sources. I love it. So Alariel's rights have been revamped. The right of Lilith now gives -30% cooldown to all spells for all armies, which is super powerful. Also enables the ability channeling Spire for all armies, plus 50% magic item drop chance for all armies, which is, again, very powerful, because some magic items are game changers, so being able to just get a bunch of them is amazing. Invocation of Isha, replaced by the Greater Invocation of Isha, which makes a lot of sense for her, which provides regeneration to all Tree Spirit units, in addition to existing effects, because Tree Spirit units are kind of a bit rubbish, because there's not a lot of good ways to buff them, so this is just a really nice way to make those Tree Spirit units really pop in her campaign. So again, all very thematic changes, I love it. High Elf Influence Rebalance. Yeah, here we go. Secure Influence Agent action now provides influence per turn for 5 turns, rather than a simple single lump sum. So basically you're not doing it every turn. You can do it every 5 turns. Okay, so it means you're not spamming it, which is great. I love it. This is intended to make constant use of agent actions less necessary for optimal influence generation. I'm assuming these don't stack, basically. For 5 turns, you're just resetting the cooldown. You're not, you know. The MC building now grants +2 influence per turn, making the MC building sort of more useful even in places that don't have a lot of ports, which I really like. The Release Captives bundle now provides +1 influence per turn from armies on which it is active, which again, very, very cool. Because, yeah, you know, those people are going to talk about you when they leave, huh? Most 60 cost influence traits have been rebalanced. Certain stackable campaign effects, notably Administrator and Entrepreneur, have had their effects reduced, while others, particularly character-only battle effects, have been strengthened. Great. This is all really good, because there were so many things that could just sort of be spammed in a High Elf campaign that was just boring. It wasn't fun, you know? It allowed you to do a lot in the campaign, but it wasn't a fun thing to exploit, you know what I mean? So this is remedying all that, you know? So the +1 influence per turn effect on the Court of the Phoenix King has been replaced by a 10% cost reduction to all intrigue at court actions, which encourages you to actually spend influence rather than trying to gain it, which is very fun. Generic characters now never start the campaign with a negative influence trait. That is a very big deal, because so often I know a lot of people who just start a campaign, look at the trait of their generic characters, and then quit and just start another campaign. It's a waste of time. Just make sure that it's positive so people aren't you know, rolling the dice over and over again. That seemed like a no-brainer, but it's nice that it's implemented, because that's easy to overlook, once it's there, right? So, unlock unit changes. Spearmen and basic archers are now available from Tier 1 of the main settlement chain. There's no need to build the barracks to get spearmen and archers, because they're just militia. They should be recruitable from anywhere, so that's perfect. That makes a lot of sense. That's absolutely how it should be. A lot of the Sea Guard, unshielded, are now available from the Tier 3 Elven colony buildings and Tier 3 ports. So yes, you get a lot of the Sea Guard from ports, because that's where they spend their time. Love it. Again, this is very cool. This is very cool. You can field, you know, fine units. You can field, like, some defensive units in any settlement, as is how High Elves are supposed to function. They have, you know, everyone has to be in the militia for, I think, 30 years, I think it is. Everyone has to. So this makes perfect sense. Archers, light armor. Actually, I think it's 30 years per... I think it's like you have to be a spearman for 30 years and then you get turned into an archer. They live a long time, so whatever. But it's all mandatory. Everyone is part of their standing army, which makes sense when they're constantly attacked by like dark elves or demons or whatever else. You know, it's good living that long. They may as well all pick up some martial skills. So they do. Archers with light armor are now available from Tier 1 version of the barracks. It was Tier 2, but of course the actual archers are available from the Tier 1 of the basic chain, so whatever. Shadow Warriors recruitment time reduced from 2 to 1. Makes sense. They're not that much better than anything. They should take that long. It was a weird one. Like, they're not elite units by any means. They're just not. I'd rather get twice as many archers in the same amount of time if I was going to recruit them. I mean, they're pretty great in a siege, though. Because, yeah, pretty good melee, so stick them on the walls, they can shoot stuff, and then they can scrap on the walls. It's not bad. It's not bad. Just more damaging than, you know, a lot of other units that you can stick on the walls and still shoot with. You know, it's nice. Not wasting their time with the anti-large for defending walls. Not a lot of large things get on the walls, except dragons and such. Anyway. So, other Gunnery White Cackle Fruit skill no longer replaces the bomb throw. You can have both. Nice. Miners with blasting charges now count as melee units instead of missile units for bonuses, which makes a lot more sense. Because, yeah, they throw a blasting charge and they're melee units now, so, you know. Blood Voyage armies now receive army-wide frenzy. Very cool. Very cool. Blood Voyage, if you guys don't recall, is that thing that Helebron does. She sends out blood voyages. So, yeah, now they have frenzy, which makes sense, because they're all, you know, bloodied up and crazy and, you know, Caleb and Chicane, all that luck. So, if Harganeth is an AI faction, only the Lord of the Blood Voyage army will be unbreakable, not the entire army. Which is great, because unbreakable enemy armies are boring to fight. You know, they're not necessarily much harder, they're just tedious. It's really annoying, fighting armies to the last man. Channeling stance, as well as variants, such as Blessing of Lilith, now requires less movement to enter, which is nice, because I never used channeling stance, because it was always better just to attack a place quicker, you know? So, yeah. Ungrim no longer gains plus 30% casualty replenishment rate for Slayers in his army. This has been replaced by unique passive, Journey's End, which prevents Slayers from dying until they lose at least 50% of their HP. So if they're not losing any models, it means that so long as you don't lose more than half the unit, they will always have full health again on the campaign map, which is so cool. So that is super powerful and really, 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 really interesting. It also means they just keep their, you know, sort of combat prowess, you know, up until they lose 50% of the health, which is amazing. Although, of course, once they hit 50%, they're going to be dropping like flies. So bear that in mind, because you have a bunch of Slayers with 0 health. So as soon as they hit 50, you know, a stiff breeze will kill them. So bear that in mind. Still, super powerful, super cool. So, Tier 3 Tomb King Barracks now grants an additional +2 capacity for Nehekaran warriors. Oh, yay. Probably. And I guess that makes sense, because otherwise it's just... They're not that powerful that they should be limited all that much. You know, they should still be able to be, like, your frontline fighters, really. So, I like that. I like that. Ravenous Expansion Skill for Skaven. Reduced faction-wide settlement income. From 20%, 40% to 2%, 4%. Wow, that's an insane change. That is an insane change. But, yeah, that's a huge buff, so that makes a lot more sense. So, cool, cool. Battle balance changes. Since these are the overall ones, I don't think these are... I'm going to check. Okay, there's bug fixes. Okay, good. There's battle, and then unit balancing we'll do in a separate video. So, we'll go over the balance changes here, and then we'll do the specific stats in another video. Yeah, there's going to be another one. Possibly 2. That's going to take forever. Oh, dearie me. Okay, battle balance changes, contact effects, and friendly fire. This is a big deal. This was mentioned in CA's video that they did because it's such a big one. So, stop me if you've heard this before. You've recruited a fresh-faced group of chameleon skinks to support your Saurus push. The lines clash and the skinks start volleying the enemy. And then you realise you've poisoned your own troops. Again! Poison and other contact effects on ranged weapons have long been a double-edged sword. This is just straight up. This is just his script from that video, by the way. There's been a double-edged sword. Friendly fire meant you could poison your own troops just as readily as the enemies, leaving you with a zero-sum result. With this update, friendly fire will still cause damage, but will never inflict debilitating contact effects on your own units. This only applies to vortices, bombardments, and other sources of friendly fire debilitation. All except for poisoned wind, because Skaven. Yeah, yep, that tracks. That tracks. Poison wind mortars and stuff, yeah, they're still going to kill your own guys, because frankly, Skaven without friendly fire, yeah, they need to have more friendly fire than anyone else, but it seemed everyone had friendly fire, you know, for stuff like that. So, yeah, that's perfect. I love that. That has cheered me up. Just so many of the changes they've made aren't just balanced, they're thematic. They fit the specific, you know, things of the faction or the lord or whatever. So, cannot be happier with this so far. Strider rework. This is another one that's really cool because Strider is pointless, generally, right? It's just a pointless thing to have. It's like, oh, you can walk up a hill quicker, yay. Just doesn't really matter. You don't even notice it. So, Strider has long been an estranged attribute providing niche benefits that were hard to take advantage of, or completely couldn't even tell they exist in the first place. We've significantly expanded its behavior with this rework. And they have. The unit ignores forest penalties if it is large and water penalties if it is small. Yay. New Strider. The unit ignores terrain inflicted stat penalties, same as the old behavior. Units aren't slowed down by hills and other slopes. Units don't take hang on a minute. The old one didn't even have the hills thing? My word, I thought that was basically the whole point. I thought that was the main thing. Apparently that didn't actually, Strider didn't affect that. Wow. Okay, well now it does. So, cool. That's how terrible it was before. It just did nothing. It wasn't worth paying for, basically. Units don't take penalty for fighting uphill. And now that is really cool, because there's actually, you know, sort of elevation is something that it never really explicitly tells you, but fighting up or downhill does contribute a lot to sort of how well your guys are fighting. But it's a hidden stat, essentially. So knowing that Strider units can fight uphill and not have to care is really, really good. I really like that. Units don't tire quicker while moving up slopes. Again, it's a hidden stat. So, again, brilliant. And units can pass through trees. This is the biggest one. Because if you've got a banner of, I can't remember what it's called, but there's a banner that gives Strider. If you give that to, like, unit cavalry or something, or chariots, for instance, you can be effective in trees. Which is a huge deal. Especially because you're ignoring the terrain stat penalties. It means that, you know, cavalry in trees aren't going to be suffering the stat penalties, and they aren't going to keep running into trees. So they're going to be able to actually charge properly in trees, which is wild. I love it. Also, Woodsman attribute. This is super useful too, and ties into the whole Strider thing. And beautiful, I love it. The Woodsman attribute is an offshoot of the Strider attribute that grants only the ability to pass through trees. This attribute is available on all ground units belonging to the Wood Elves and Beastmen. So, if you want to do a proper wild hunt, you can now. Because wild riders aren't going to keep bumping into trees. Which is brilliant, because it's the silliest thing for Wood Elves to do. They're supposed to be able to move through trees with ease, you know, and they're stags, for that matter. So the fact that they can just bound through trees and just smash other stuff to bits is amazing. It means, you know, if you've got enemy heavy cavalry has you know, run into the trees, chasing you, you can just double back and you will get a much cleaner charge on them than they could ever get on you. And you can easily surround them without units getting caught up on trees as you're trying to move around. Such a big deal, and it's exactly what the Wood Elves have needed. You know, it makes them so much more versatile in the place they're supposed to be versatile in, which I love, although I still hating forests. I still hate fighting in forests because you can still barely see anything, but still. So, White Lions have got that. Alice of the White Lion has it on foot, because, yeah, otherwise it's, you know, a chariot or something, in which case, yeah, he's not actually that adept in trees. So that makes a lot of sense. Marcus Wolfhard has it, which is very cool. The Huntsman General has it. Huntsmen have it. And Amber Wizards have it, which is pretty cool. But not on a Griffin, sadly, which is a shame. But on everything else. You know, so anyone who hangs out in trees a lot, basically. So, Strider units now feel more snappy and responsive, being able to rocket up the hills that dot almost all maps without losing pace. while passing through trees allows them unparalleled mobility within densely forested areas. These are all big deals. These are really cool. And this feels more like sort of how this stuff would be addressed in tabletop. But I think for the sake of realism, it didn't. But screw realism. There's dragons, magic, and zombies. Like, who cares? Yeah, this is great. This feels amazing. I love it. As part of the reworking Strider, we've also reevaluated where it is available. It is now granted by certain ancillaries, and the following units now gain Strider. So there's plenty more that have it, and I think most of them make a lot of sense. So dire wolves, because yeah, of course they can run through foliage and stuff. They're wolves. Maws of Savagery, the skin wolves that are armored. That's pretty cool, because those other ones. That Vanguard, I think, on the top of my mind. I can't remember. So, yeah. So again, wolves though. More wolves, wolves, wolves. There's some wolves there. Also some wolves. Also wolves. And wolves. Okay, all of this is wolves. Or big wolves. They can all do it. Great. Also, Claw and a Gash. And a Mortis Engine. Makes sense. It's just a big ghost. It's a ghost. It is a big ghost. So that not getting stuck on trees is a big deal, because it needs to be able to move freely. It really does. It really does. It's not even touching the ground. It's a hovercraft ghost. It's a ghost hovercraft. Just, yeah, makes thematic sense. And it means that you're not in that horrible position where it gets stuck on a tree and you can't retreat it when it's being attacked by a bunch of stuff, which is just annoying, because it is a very cumbersome vehicle. You know, especially for a ghost hovercraft. Death Runners get it, which is good. They're ambushes. That should be, you know, that should make sense. And in fact, it's just Eshin stuff. Just all the Eshin stuff gets it. Perfect. That makes total sense. That makes perfect sense. They should be masters at ambushing, and that includes being in forests, you know? So that's perfect. Love it. This is all great. This is all great. Volley and burst fire weapon ammunition consumption rework. Alright. Yep. Previously, if a unit was interrupted during a volley or burst fire attack, they would lose any remaining ammunition in that volley or burst. This is especially punishing for units like warp fire throwers and rattling guns. Yeah, they're very easy to bother. So, yeah, that's cool. These units will now correctly retain the ammunition that they didn't fire when they were interrupted, so they don't lose out on potential damage. This is really impressive, actually. That's a very cool thing to see change. So this affects the following units: Red Crested Skink Chief, Thunderous One, Rattling Guns, Teeth Breakers, Death Dealers, Noble Sons Abroad, Black Lions, Razordon Hunting Pack, Amazon Barbs, Razordon Hunting Packs, Master Assassins, Tyrannok Chariot, Skink Chief, Skink Priest, all the Skink Priests, Ancient Stegodons, the Sunmaker, Skyhammer, Organ Gun, Gyro Bomber, Hellblaster Volley Gun, Hellstorm Rocket Battery, Pistoliers, Gallows Giant, Ikit Claw, the Doombringers, Warp Fire Throwers, and Iron Drakes. Lovely to see. Splash damage calculation fixes. Interesting. What got fixed? I didn't know there was a problem with this. Stuff seemed to work alright. We've addressed two important bugs with our splash damage system relating to how damage is calculated. The first bug was that during a single attack animation, if there were multiple splash attack zones, an entity could be damaged twice. Oh, interesting. This is unintentional, and a single entity should only be able to take damage once from a single attack animation. That's cool. Okay. That's interesting. So they did it in zones to go stuff over here and stuff over here gets damaged. So the splash attack, that was probably so it could be sort of decide how big of an area the splash attack would affect. But it just meant that there was an overlap on certain units, because units aren't all the same size. So that's really cool. That's good they fixed that. I didn't even know that was a bug, frankly. Very cool. Okay, so this has now been fixed, and entities that are damaged during attack animation are immune to any other damage from the same attack. That makes perfect sense. The second bug was that attack animations with multiple splash attack zones would do multiplicative damage in correlation with the number of splash zones. So if a unit which deals 100 damage, but has 2 splash zones, could deal up to 200 damage, 100 for each zone. This has now been altered in order to mitigate the extra damage provided from additional splash zones. Each subsequent splash zone has diminishing returns by dealing less damage than the previous one, but only if the previous zone did damage to an entity. Interesting. So, cool. Bug fixes. Fixed multiple end-turn crashes. That's good. I don't like it crashing at all, so that's wonderful. And they did multiple ones, so that's good. Less crashes. Fixed crash when loading particular save games and playing as Malice. Alright, alright. Fix a soft lock that could occur when pressing escape with a dilemma open. I think I've had that once, actually. I think I had that once. It just got stuck with the dilemma and you can't get rid of it because you can't click anything. Anyway, fixed a crash that occurred when rapidly mousing between Zarkan's Whisper and normal mission elements. Not sure what that is, but I'm sure some of you do. If you've bumped into it, that would be nice to know that's fixed. So, loading time for the Empire Minor Settlement Crossroads map significantly improved. Good. Good. I really didn't know that was an issue either. Anyway, the Middle Forest has been restructured, now consists of 3 thin strips. Sigmal statue and cliff size is drastically reduced. This is, I think, like the second battle in my Azhag campaign, if you want to check it out. You'll know the map immediately, the Empire Minor Settlement Crossroads map. You will recognize it immediately, and it is a lot better. There's a lot more sort of gameplay that can occur kind of in the middle of the map. It's a lot better. I really like it. Now, I'd like to see that in the multiplayer, like the quick battle roster, frankly. It's very interesting. I like it. Improved load times and performance of the Lord Croak quest battle. Lord Croak's Temple, Subterranean, custom battle. Smooth cinematic transition to gameplay in the quest battle. So just general performance issues on that map has been fixed. Upkeep penalty is now updated correctly when disbanding the first recruited army. Yeah, just upkeep just seems to go a bit funny. Just money doesn't update very well in this game. So the more they fix is, the better. Fix several characters and units missing attrition immunities. Good. Diplomacy with all factions now actually includes all factions. Good. Fix several instances of missions not accepting regiments of renown or equipment. So, okay, good. That's a big deal too. Because, if it says get Black Orcs and then you get Crimson Killers, and it's like, get some Black Orcs. It's like, what about them? Get some Black Orcs. Okay, game, fine. Fine. I'll just disband something then. Thanks. So that's good, that's fixed. All settlements in the Vortex campaign should properly grant ritual resource for the relevant factions. Good. Teleport to quest battle can now correctly be used from the events panel. I didn't know that was not available, but good. Fixed an issue with the event feed display for battle results, which included a faction that has been confederated after that battle. Okay? I'm guessing what happens is it confederates and it says, well done. Grimgor's Ardboys defeated Grimgor's Ardboys in battle. Probably. Fix an issue with list indentation in the recruitment panel. Fix an issue where some Lord Recruit rank bonuses weren't applying when replacing Legendary Lords. Cool. Fix several instances of building granting extra benefits when damaged. That's weird. That's very strange. Wow. Fast forward end turn button. Now remember its setting. Yeah, we've been through that. Character rank up button will now correctly open skills tab in character details panel. Cool. Rites can no longer be performed while characters are moving. Okay. Weird. Interesting. No idea why that's something that really needs doing, but sure. Fix an issue that allowed the AI to keep attempting Vortex rituals, despite the player having already finished the final battle and conquered Vortex. Interesting. The Cunning trait now also grants its ambush success bonus in enemy territories. Really? It didn't do it in enemy territories? Wow. Okay, yeah, that's kind of where you want to do it the most, really. Removed a requirement for a faction to not be allowed to capture enemy territory, and yet be too far from the capital to allow the lazy and far from home trait to be unlockable. Okay. No idea. Whatever. Sword of Cain now displays the correct values for its diplomatic penalties in all situations. Good. Dilemmas will now update correctly when influence changes. Correctly when influence changes as they are triggered. Alright. The High Elf Ancillary Advisor to the King can now be correctly assigned to any High Elf Lord. Cool. That's good. That's good. Intrigue at Court drop-downs will no longer have text extending outside of them. Great. Invocation of Hoeth now correctly applies its experience effects to mages with the Lords of Shadows and Heavens. Good. Alith Anar's Hand of the Shadow Crown hero can now search ruins. Good. And now correctly shows that he increases the discoverability of local undercities. That's nice to see. Lawmaster's Hoeth can now equip arcane items. Makes sense because they are magic users like others, so that's really cool to see. Gives them more flexibility there. You can sort of build them as a spellcaster more than a, rather than just as a hybrid. You know what I mean? Like you can pick combat or magic, and that helps emphasize that point. Greenskins can no longer build 2 versions of the Beast-Les building in major settlements with the Pastures resource. Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. But good, that's stopped. Dark Elf version of the Tower of Hoeth landmark now allows recruitment of Medusas, and add a sorceress to the garrison. That's good, because Tower of Hoeth it's still a big magic tower. Like, Dark Elves should get a benefit from that. That is in line with it. So, the Skaven Brightstone Mine Landmark at Mount Gunbad now also applies its benefits to Doomflayers. Cool. Cool. The Black Ark Admirals now gain traits and the Sword of Cain. Oof. That's scary. Greenskin Big Bully trait now correctly applies its effects when on a hero. The landmark port on the Dragon Isles no longer provides tradable resources for Greenskins since they don't trade or extra money for Tomb Kings. Alright. Battle site markers should now correctly increase the raised dead pool size. Oh, they weren't doing that. Well, that's good. That's good. So yeah, if you guys recall, it's when you have a really, really big battle. There's a little pile of weapons with a little beacon of light, and like that thing, that should allow undead races to use the raised dead mechanic and get better units from it, because there's more bodies basically to be able to summon the dead from. So that's kind of cool, but I didn't know it was broken. So that's good, that's fixed, because that's pretty integral to sort of a vampire count campaign. Vampire counts can no longer raise dead at sea immediately after attacking and occupying a coastal settlement. Okay, interesting. Fix several Vampire Coast unique settlements missing advanced wall tower projectiles. Ah, good. Bloated Corpses now has terror to match the bullet point. Okay, good. It should be causing terror. That's the idea of them trying to chase someone down, they're just running away in terror. It's pretty hilarious. Because you don't want one to get near you. You really don't. Vampire Coast recruit rank effects. No, now longer? No longer. I'm assuming. Reference unit experience instead of recruit rank. Luther Harkon's leadership bonus version Lizardman. Bonus version Lizardman. Leadership bonus version Lizardman is now correctly displayed. I have no idea. Displayed in the Lord effects category in the faction select screen. Okay. It's very strange wording. Fine. Heroes can no longer gain the Sea Legs trait, which provided them no benefit. Oh, fair. Fair enough. There can only be one Chief Doomclaw. I guess there were two Chief Doomclaws at some point. So, good. The Skaven skills. Yeah, he's the clan Rictus. The clan nest leader, basically. So, the Skaven skills, Dictatorial and Corruptive, now correctly lock each other out for Shadow and Blade characters. Snikch will now automatically equip the Whirl of Weeping Blades on mission completion. Oh, good, because, yeah, I seem to remember that happening in my campaign. I was like, wait, he doesn't have the thing? When he should have done. Warlock Engineers should no longer be able to equip Doomwheel Assembly Module, as this was never intended. Fair enough. Black Hole Flayers now have access to the Brass Orb ability in campaign. Very cool. Under Empire, Discoverability Tooltip will no longer stick around when rapidly mousing on and off the Discoverability bar. Good. Clan Eshin's building in El Calabad will no longer be overridden by Empire buildings when playing as Tic-Tac-Toe. How bizarre. Adjusted short campaign victory objectives for Clan Eshin. Other Skaven no longer steal take. Other Skaven no longer steal take unique landmark at Egg Peaks from Clan Moors. When mousing over the contract available icon on the Shadowy Dealings HUD bar, the Clan Reputation tooltip will no longer appear. Good. Clan Contract button for Clan Eshin will now close the panel if it is already open. UI will no longer snap back to the top after scrolling down and upgrading a unit in Ikiclaw's Forbidden Workshop. Alright then, Scroll to Liber Bubonicus now correctly reduces the cost of the Clan Pestilence version of the Pestilence scheme. Alright then, Skaven Warp Grinders no longer count as missile infantry. That's a very strange thing for them to count as. I guess it's because they were sort of a copy and paste of another weapon team, given like their model and everything. So, that tracks. Fixed issue where Skaven factions confederating with each other couldn't remove undercities from settlements which they have newly acquired. Fix an issue where unclickable man-thing. Also, actually, it's Skaven Warp Grinders. It could be that technically they're doing missile damage when they're attacking a wall, because I don't think walls could be affected by melee damage. They can only be affected by missile damage, so it could be that they are actually a missile, like, infantry unit with 0 range. You know what I mean? That could be how they were built in the background. There's a... yeah. Just a guess. It's just a guess. Fix an issue with Fix an issue where unclickable man-thing appeared in settlements after Doomsphere detonation. Oh yeah, that was weird. That was super odd. That was strange. Yeah, a hero would appear next to a settlement that had blown up. And it would just be there forever on the campaign map. It's very odd. Red Crested Skink Chiefs no longer lose all their attrition immunities when mounted on Ancient Stegadon. That's great, because that's very silly. Reinforcement events for the Empire will no longer incur a trespassing penalty. Oh, thank God. That was such a silly thing to happen. It's like, we're here to help. How dare you? How dare you stand there? Don't help from home. What? Anyway, Amber Wizard now uses Green Griffin mount in both campaigns and custom battles. Cool. Wolfheart's Hunters no longer have a chance to have their unique traits replaced by vanilla ones. Good. The Hunts Marshal's Expedition will now start with Wolfheart's Hunters when an AI faction... Sorry, when it is an AI faction, it will start with the Wolfheart's Hunters. Yep. Voltmar no longer has a hidden 75% discount on Elector units. Oh. Wow. I didn't know that was a thing. That's pretty funny. Fixed an issue preventing the Red Duke from benefiting from certain technologies and effects when confederated. Alright. Fixed the... There's a lot. There's a lot here, isn't there? Jeez, this is a long video. Fixed an issue preventing the Red Duke from benefiting... Yep. Fixed the Vampire Hero trait, Master of the Black Arts, not granting Spirit Leech, as stated. Vampire Lord Shadow casters now gain bonuses from corruption effects. Black Knights with Lances and Boarding now properly display armoured and shielded instead of just armoured in their bullet points. Norscan characters will now use the updated Warhammer 2 character traits. Lovely. That's a big deal. I've heard a lot of people moaning about that. I haven't bothered to play a Norscan campaign in so long, but yeah, I've heard people moan about that a lot. So that's wonderful. Fix an issue causing many effects that stated Warriors of Chaos to also affect Norscan factions. Okay. The trait Maimed Arm now provides its defense benefit for heroes as well, instead of just providing a flat penalty. Hellebron's Palace no longer grants -1 recruitment duration for Witch Elves. That's a shame. I feel like that was a pretty cool thing to have. Beastmaster's Skill, Sorceresses of Grond, now applies its recruitment time reduction to Bloodwrack Shrines. Cool. Beastslaver and Whiplash are now swapped on the Beastmaster's skill tree. I think they had the more powerful thing first and the weaker thing later. Unique items in the Mortuary Cult panel no longer state that they are repeatable. Huh, okay. Oh, right, yes. That's the construction thing, the item building mechanism, the crafting system for Tomb Kings. Yep. I think there was also a bit of an issue with a couple of items in the dwarf version of that. I think there were a couple that said they were repeatable, but you could only get the one, which is very sad. Notice that in my Grombrindal campaign. Anyway, Arcane the Blacks. The Tomb Blade of Arcan quest battle now has Arcan the Black as the Lord leading the battle. Yeah, you'd think so. How odd. Fix the Regiment Renowned variants of Nehekara Warriors, Nehekara Horsemen, and Necropolis Knights not getting the bonuses that apply to their base unit. Cool, that's good. That's good news. The Bretonnian technologies that affect Norska should now function correctly. Grail Reliquaries no longer count as war machines, which, yeah, makes sense. Awakening the Wood skill now has a spell ability on its tooltip. Okay, interesting. I guess it didn't show the spell Awakening the Wood on the Awakening the Wood. Just said it's been unlocked, but not what the spell does, I guess. Armies can no longer clip into the mountains on Dread Rock Island. Oh, well, that's nice. Electric Count's tooltip will no longer cut off in multiple languages. Cool. Battle. My word. Okay, fixed an issue that could cause abilities to persist indefinitely if they granted healing and a unit hit their maximum healing capacity while they were ongoing. Interesting. Huh. How odd. I didn't know that was a bug. Fixed Vortex spells damage calculation no longer uses missile damage defense from target. Oh, good. Because that's super weird. That's super weird that was a thing. Fix an issue with army spell targeting for Vortex when the unit target is over buildings. Yeah, that was always a bit goofy for some reason. I don't know why. Projectiles should no longer fall short of their target when shooting from extreme ranges. Cool. Fix an issue where units would not fire on targets when shooting from extreme ranges. Fix some instances where projectiles and firing arcs did not match. That's an important one. It's like, can you shoot here? Yes, I can. No, you can't. Ammo counts will now take into account burst size, as we mentioned earlier. Artillery engine base missile damage is now being modified correctly. Decoy units will now use their parent's leadership value for their leadership bar. Oh, that's good, because it was a giveaway. They always looked unbreakable, essentially. And, you know, they shouldn't. It was a dead giveaway. Fixed instances where Dark Elves' ability Guardian could stack. Durkit Squigs, Night Goblin Squig Hoppers no longer count as melee infantry. Oh, they were melee infantry. How odd. Repanse's Halo of Maidenly Wrath is now classified as Explosion rather than Augment. Yeah, that tracks. Henri Le Massif, on a Hippogriff, is no longer missing the siege attacker trait. Yeah, that was very annoying. So we've got a Hippogriff, let's attack the walls. We can't. Cool. Thanks, game. The Virtue Duty now works when applied to a hero character. Fix an attack animation of Malice that causes him to slide after performing the attack. That's cute. Fix an issue where deck dropper gunners didn't appear to be holding pistols when idle. Fix an issue where a variety of mounted units were not producing blood effects when hit. Depth Guard will no longer dismember. Aw, that's a shame. Mouse's transition to Zarkan is now visually smoother. Fiery Convocation's Phoenix model no longer vanishes when zoomed out. Oh good, just fixed a lot on that. The infantry cinematics for Hand of God, Sunfang, and Dragon Armor of Anirian Quest battles will no longer incorrectly show Blood and Gore stamps. Alright. Cool. Alright, sure. Fix an issue where, I guess just because, yeah, Blood and Gore, you don't want it in a cinematic, because you might have Blood and Gore off, so, yeah. Fix an issue where Norscan Blood Orders with great weapons weren't animating correctly when fighting as part of a rogue army. Wow, very specific and odd that. Fix an issue with the training level of all units in the game. We figured out there was some undesirable behaviour that was occurring as a result of the training level of units in the database being set to various different values. All units have been set to the same value, so that the field no longer subtly alters unit behaviour behind the scenes. Interesting. Interesting. The ability Spinning Loons is no longer visible for enemy players, which means that... Oh, that's really cool. That it's a lot trickier to find out whether a unit in Night Goblins contains Fanatics. Yeah, that's a really fun thing. Because, yeah, then also a weird one for for the Regiment of Renown Fanatics, because it just says Night Goblins on them, but it's got the Regiment of Renown thing, so you know it's Regiment of Renown. So the fact that it doesn't tell you if there are Fanatics, you still know. But anyway, I find it a really fun thing. So, like, Night Goblins with Fanatics, as far as you can tell, it just says Night Goblins for them. It won't say, which is really fun. But, yeah, the icon was visible, so you can still tell. This realises the original design intention of the unit. High Elf Dragon Mounts, Loth the Sea Guard and Phoenix Guard units now have faction colours. Empire Archers and the Death Jacks now have different textures to distinguish them from one another. Oh, good. Fixed a few instances of selection banners clipping into units. Fixed an issue where High Elf Mages riding Ithamar chariots were incorrectly scaled. Then, multiplayer bug fixes. There's also unit balancing bug fixes. Okay. That's unit balancing. Oh no, we'll do unit balancing in a minute anyway. Fix an instance where the Chaos Invasion in multiplayer campaign would not occur correctly until the game was reloaded. Players can no longer use campaign exclusive units in custom or multiplayer battles using the unit cap option. Oh, yeah, that's completely... Unit cap option is supposed to turn that off. That's basically all it's for. Well, actually, not entirely. It stops you from being able to bring an entire army of dragons. You can only bring, you know, one super weapon or two, whatever, you know, whatever. Same thing as quick battles. Certain combination of players and difficulty settings in Vortex campaign will no longer result in one player starting with additional armies and settlements. Loading a multiplayer save game will no longer show the host faction name as blank on the client screen. Okay, so that is where we're ending this episode. We're going to do unit balancing in the next episode, which might take 8 hours. Because there's a lot. There's a lot. Oh my word, these are the biggest patch notes I think they have ever had. It's pretty damn impressive. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the sort of bug fixes and campaign tweaks that were outside of you know, the Greenskins rework. It's all been a lot of promising stuff, frankly. A lot of thematic changes, very, very cool. So be sure to tune in the next episode for the next lot, which are going to be the multiplayer fixes. And then hopefully that'll be the last one. I don't know. There might be another episode after it. Because, you know, bite-sized chunks of 48 minutes. Jesus. Guys, I'll see you in the next one. Comment, like, subscribe and all that. Bye, guys.